Now, the big story today is the economy, because Britain has come out of the recession at last, but only just. After 18 months, the economy is finally growing again, but only by 0.1%. The best performing sector is the motor industry. Well, despite that, when I went to see Duncan Aldred, the managing director of Vauxhall today, he told me 2010 will still be tough.
In terms of the motor industry, it's still very tough. The scrappage scheme, which has been a great stimulus for the industry, is set to come to an end in probably about March, and the demand for the overall industry will be a little bit down this year, so it's going to be a tough 2010.
Let's talk about this plant in particular. It's about 40% down on what you were making 2 years ago in this plant. Can you see that recovering in the immediate future?
Not in the short term. The Vauxhall Vivaro van that we make here has been very successful and continues to be very successful. In fact, we export it all over Europe. However, the demand for vans has dropped significantly across the whole of Europe and indeed in the UK, and I don't expect that demand to come back for several years.
So the future of this plant here will stay on 2 shifts rather than 3 shifts for the foreseeable future?
That's correct. The future of this plant is secure for the foreseeable future, but on the 2-shift operation that you mentioned.
You have contracts here until 2013. Are you any closer to being able to tell us that the plant is safe thereafter?
Well, what we do have here, we've got a very flexible workforce, a very dedicated workforce, and we're producing great quality products. It's held in very high esteem within the General Motors organisation. The next product to come into this factory hasn't been finalised yet. We're still working very hard on that. But we're in good shape because we're such a good operation here in Luton.
So that's no, really? You can't give us any guarantees about what happens in 2013?
No final decisions have been made after the conclusion of this van.
General Motors, do they look at this site as potential for making more product here in the next few years? Or do they look at maybe as a piece of real estate that eventually will go?
No, it's the former, absolutely the former. We look at this as a very productive plant, great employees, very dedicated, very flexible. And again, when you've got that kind of operation, you're always in a good position to win any new product allocation within the General Motors portfolio.
Duncan Aldred speaking to me earlier today. Well, still to come tonight, our second look at our ones to watch for the Olympics. In many parts of the region, council tax bills are set to rise by the lowest amount ever. It's likely to work out at less than 50 pence a week, but it's coming at a price.
Every year is a tough year when it comes to balancing the local authority books, but this year has been particularly hard. A recession, a low grant from central government, and this being a general election year has forced councils to set some of their lowest rates ever. The County Council charge makes up most of the council tax bill. Essex and Norfolk yesterday announced rises of just 1.9%, the lowest in the country. Suffolk 2.4%. And last week Cambridgeshire announced a 3% increase. But all the councils say there'll need to be efficiency savings. Jobs will go in Norfolk and Cambridgeshire, and there'll be pay freezes. Good news perhaps for council taxpayers, but worrying times for thousands of council staff.
Limited visiting is being reintroduced on most wards at the West Suffolk Hospital in Bury St Edmunds. It's been closed to visitors for 3 weeks after an outbreak of the winter vomiting virus. Some visitors have been allowed during the evenings, but none in the afternoons. A couple from Colchester have been left hundreds of pounds out of pocket after the venue they chose for their wedding reception closed down. It blames the winter snow, but it won't refund the couple's deposit.
It was supposed to be the happiest day of Nikki Blow's life. Nikki and her fiancé Kevin Parrish paid a £500 deposit to have their wedding reception at the Forum. They're about to pay another £500 when they found out it had ceased trading.
I was really upset because obviously it was the perfect place. We'd found it, and with only a couple of months left before the wedding, we were really shocked and just couldn't believe that we hadn't heard anything from them.
To be treated that way and just spoken to as if we didn't matter was really upsetting for me at a time when we were already in such distress over what had occurred.
The forum was managed from the nearby Barn Brasserie. The general manager, Christopher Cork, told us he couldn't refund the couple's deposit as the two businesses were separate companies. He said the forum lost £15,000 during December because of the snow and said if they paid this couple back, they'd have to pay back their other suppliers. The company did offer, though, to hold the reception at the Brasserie.
They said we could have it at the barn if we paid more money and we needed more guests, and that we wouldn't get the £500 back still, and it wouldn't be included in the price that we'd have to pay over there.
The Brasserie has 40 weddings booked in this year. Nikki and Kevin have found an alternative venue, but they're still trying to get their money refunded. And Jana Gadgill, BBC Look East.
The Prince of Wales has been at the University of East Anglia in Norwich this afternoon at the School of Environmental Sciences. The Prince is patron of the school, which has a worldwide reputation for environmental teaching and research. He met staff and students at a reception. The exact site in Suffolk where the artist John Constable painted one of his landscapes has been identified after nearly 200 years. He finished the Stour Valley and Dedham village in 1815. Now the National Trust says it solved the puzzle by looking at old maps and matching them with the painting. Changes in field boundaries made things more difficult. In football, Ipswich Town play tonight with manager Roy Keane saying they're still too close to the relegation zone for comfort. They play West Brom at home. Norwich, Colchester and Southend are also in action.
The last time Town played at home, this very late winner from Pablo Cunyago secured 3 points. How Roy Keane would love that kind of drama, that kind of victory again tonight. But he knows that West Brom, one of the best performing sides in the Championship, will present Town with a stern test.
I think it'll be a good game. You'd expect plenty of goals. We were poor when we played them early in the season, but you know, it's a good test for us to see how far we've come, because I think that there has been improvement over the last month or two, as you'd hope and expect.
Norwich manager Paul Lambert will be desperate to keep top spot in League One with victory at Vauxhall. He'll be without top goal scorer Grant Holt and knows that his opposite number in the dugout will have the home side well prepared.
There's no doubt Chris has got a good side. I think got a lot of time for Chris Hutchins. I think he's a really top manager, and his teams are always well organised. Difficult place to go and get a result, but as I said, we're playing well enough to go and win the game.
Also in League One, AD Boothroyd's Colchester are at home to MK Dons, while Southend travel to Millwall. Kevin Birch, BBC Look East.